5, but we're almost there. We've got about 2 minutes. I'm going to open the chat window. So if anybody, you're out there in the world of Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube and you're tuned in, let us know you're there. Say hi. Let us know where you're from. And if you're here, or if you're watching on replay, we're glad that you've joined us because tonight's going to be an amazing night because we've got Wendy Oliveras with us and a great subject that is good for all of us to pay attention to. And I know I'm going to learn some things from a great coach and consultant like Wendy. So buckle up, folks. It's going to be a good one.
Thank you, Art, for that semi-introduction.
It's semi-introduction because we're not official yet. We're gonna kick it off here in about 10 seconds. I'll start the countdown, and
okay. Great.
There you go. Hi, my name is Arthur Jones. As you can tell, I'm not Andrew Frazier. I'm Art Jones. I'm tuning in from Tucson, Arizona tonight, where it's a lovely, balmy 99 degrees or something like that right now. And hopefully wherever you are, you're having a great end of August. Why am I here? Well, the history of Leadership Live at 8:05, I have the pleasure of collaborating with Andrew way back in the early days, first 6 months or 8 months or so. I was a co-host with Andrew, and every once in a while when Andrew is called away to keep his streak of continuous weekly events going, he'll give me a call and say, hey, can you help me out? And I always, of course, say yes, because I think this is a great show with a great streak of Tuesday nights at 8:05 Eastern Standard Time, bringing great guests and great content about what it means to be a leader and how to improve your leadership position. So Andrew tonight, as being the great leader that he is and grown into, is getting his flowers, as they say. He's in New Jersey still. He hasn't flown out of state, but he's at a dinner where he is being awarded an award for being a great leader. I think it's called the Sankofa Award, somewhere in Florham Park or Cedar Knolls. And I hope that I will hold Leadership Live at 8:05 down for him in a way, trying to be as good as he is at the mic, and getting our guests as engaged as he does when he's your host. Tonight, we have an amazing guest, Wendy Oliveras. I've known Wendy for several years now, and each year she becomes more and more amazing because she never stops growing. And she's built several successful businesses in her career, and now she functions as an amazing coach and consultant for small businesses. She's a she's an author. I have her last book that I'm aware of, and I know she has one in the works, Checkmate Moves for Business Startups. And we're going to reference one of the chapters in this book as we address the theme for tonight, which is, how does your personality affect your business and your brand? Do you ever think about that? And if you don't, Wendy's going to tell us why you should. So welcome, Wendy. Welcome on board.
Thank you, Art. My pleasure.
Come on and tell us something about yourself that I didn't mention. Anything that you want the audience to know that I didn't mention in your intro?
Well, how about my personality to begin with? I am a very approachable, fun person. I have a great sense of humor, and I have tremendous empathy for others and compassion for others. And I just love helping others succeed in their lives, personally and professionally.
That is so true. And I know I've learned that about you in the time that I've known you. And I think the thing that I appreciate about you, Wendy, is that I would say that you are authentically always the brand that I know is Wendy. You don't vacillate, you don't waver. You always show up with the same intensity, the same passion for whatever the mission is, and the same caring for the people that you engage with. And I think that's personality, right? That's the personality, that's the character trait that you show up with. And because that's our theme, can you talk about how you gain the character traits that you have? Did you have to work on them? Were you born with them? Has it been a lifelong mission? Tell us about that.
I believe it's a combination of all, your lifelong experiences and, being a business owner, especially my second business, the consulting practice. I think that, just going through trials and tribulations and testing things to see if they're working, if they don't work, but more importantly, learning that how you treat people, or how I treat people, how I speak to them, and how I respond to their questions or their concerns matters the most. Remember, employees are the backbone of every company. And so I always ensure to be a good listener and to take out the time to converse with the individual, whether it's a client, a customer, or a colleague, or even an employee. And I think, the personality comes through and you become more credible and more trustworthy with regard to the people you work with. And I think that's critical in anyone's success, personally and professionally. That's very important to know who you are, more importantly, and how you treat others. Because if you're the kind of person that is arrogant and overly confident and condescending towards others, I think what happens is you begin to push people away, whether it's intentional or not. And that's the last thing you want to do. You want to build a business with employees that love coming to work, that are passionate and enthusiastic, just like you are, because you lead by example. So your personality and leadership are interconnected. They really cannot be separated, because it's a representation of who you are as a person and what you bring to the table, so that everyone can hopefully work well together. That's your ultimate goal, is to make it a happy place to work.
That's pretty amazing. I think that it's the idea that you said, know who you are.
Yeah.
And I know I spend an awful lot of time thinking about that. And there's a quote that I love, because it builds on what you said about know who you are. And it's Benjamin Franklin, who said, there are three things extremely hard in the world: diamonds, steel, and knowing yourself. So, we might be born with certain character traits. We might behave in some ways like our grandmother, grandfather, great uncle, or something like that. Say, hey, look, he acts just like Uncle Joe. But the other 99 behaviors that you have, you learn from modeling other people. You learn from maybe your college roommate was somebody you admired and said, I'm going to be like that. And ensuring that you pick the right behaviors, right, is what makes you successful in your personal life as well as your professional life.
Absolutely.
And I know you do a lot of work helping people, from working in with people that are incarcerated to working with the small business community throughout New Jersey and the tri-state area.
Yes.
In your experience working with that spectrum of people,
Hmm.
Is there one thing that people find hard to get their head around when you talk about personality? Do they take it lightly and think it's not important and you have to convince them of the importance? Or do they think it's important but just don't know how to get to it, to work on it?
Well, with respect to the inmates that I work with, I teach life skills at a New Jersey corrections facility. I've been doing that for about 7 years. And one of the biggest challenges for them overall, and it's a consistent thread, is that they don't know who they are. It's a simple question: who am I? And it's very difficult for them to even comprise an answer to something like that. And it's as simple as it sounds. It's very difficult for them based on all of their hardships and challenges and obstacles they've had to face and still face, drug addictions, abuses, and all that. But at the end of the day, what I teach them is self-love. We start with self-love and having a full understanding of what your boundaries are and your limitations, because these things are potentially what could be stifling you from growth. I always talk to them about not renting out your brain, because you own your brain. And if you're going to rent out your brain, then you've given too much power to others over you. You should be able to look in the mirror and say, I forgive you, and now I want to make a change, because change will only come when you make that decision. So it doesn't matter how many classes you take or how many rehab programs you attend. At the end of the day, the reflection is self-reflection. The reflection is, who am I and what do I need to change in order for me to progress? Because I have maybe a secret desire to be better. Maybe I don't even believe in myself to the point where I don't even know where I want to go, what I want to do for a living, maybe. I'm also teaching them entrepreneurship as a second chance. And I think it's such a wonderful experience for me as an instructor of life skills and teaching them entrepreneurship, because I'm telling them, look, you don't have to work for somebody else. You can build your own empire if you wanted to. All you have to do is focus on what it is that you're most passionate about. But you also have to work on who you are as a person, because you can have a great business idea and you could be super successful. But at the end of the day, how you are treating others and how you value yourself is the most important thing in life. And there's no exception to that. I don't believe there is. Whether it's on a professional level or personally, how you are treating others, how you view yourself, and how you treat yourself is all relevant to your successes. So if we talk about having a good personality for success in business, then we need to talk about humility, because humility should be top of the list. Self-love, yes, personally, but helping others grow, having a focus on people and developing others is critical for your success as well. And I think that's one of the most amazing experiences of my life, is teaching others how to love themselves and not be afraid of change, that things ebb and flow in life. Just be simple with life. Just approach it with an open mind and just some flexibility, some self-awareness and acceptance. And I think people will be more successful if they were to just internalize a little bit and do some self-reflection for personal growth and development. I think that's critical for anyone's success.
I agree. And I couldn't agree more. And I think you made an interesting point when you began talking about humility.
Mm-hmm.
And I think courage goes along with humility, because often we have to have the courage to tamp our ego down.
Sure.
To be able to be humble. And when we're humble, we give agency or some power over to the person that we're engaged with, right? If we're talking to somebody and we're humble, we're not going to try to have all the answers. When we're humble, we're not going to try to show them how to do something. We might say, well, how would you do that? And I think that kind of humility requires courage, and that's what leaders have. But I've got today. I actually wrote a blog post about humility, so I have it on top of mind. And it's an acronym for humility, and the
Mhm.
H is honesty, the U is understanding, the M in humility is maturity,
Mhm.
the I is integrity, the L is love, the other I is improvement, the T is team mentality, and the Y is yearning. So humility, when you break it into its discrete pieces and turn it into an acronym, humility means honesty, understanding, maturity, integrity, love, improvement, team mentality, and yearning. That's an awful lot that's baked into that one word. And that word goes better when you have the courage to lead with all of those sentiments. And
Sure.
I guess those are values too, right? I mean, honesty is a value, maturity and integrity are values.
Mhm.
Um, and I know that you talk about that a lot in one of my favorite books. Um,
Checkmate Moves for Business Startups.
yeah, Checkmate Moves for Business Startups by Wendy Oliveras. Tactical advantage from game board to life. You want to tell us where this idea for this book comes from? Because I think it's a beautiful cover, but it's a
Yes,
really
thank
interesting
you.
idea.
Well,
I've played I played a little chess in my day, and I know it's all about strategy. It's all about patience and all about thinking ahead. But I'd love to hear how you came to make Checkmate Moves for Business Startups one of the books that you've authored for the
mhm.
community of people that you serve.
Well, the inspiration to write the book was based on the female clientele that I have. It's a large group of women that they have these great business ideas, but they have no clue as to how to start that process to form the business. They don't understand the various legal status choices that are available to them and how to actually form the business in New Jersey. And so I figured, well, why not just put that all together in a book as a guideline for them, a simplistic, very in layman's terms, right? Very
Yep.
simple, as plain as I can make it, to give them the steps or the building blocks per se, to start their businesses, scale it, and eventually grow it. And there's just many aspects of the book that really are interconnected with chess. I'm an avid chess player, and I connect with people, even the inmates, directly with playing chess with them as well, and I gain trust with people that way. But the book is really a focus on chess life and business, and how playing chess can help you to become a better logical thinker and a better strategist, and how to anticipate your opponent's next moves in your marketplace, especially if you're a business owner versus on the board. So tactical advantages from game board to life is really a part of the entire chess ideology, which is something that represents, it's a play on two words, she for female, chess for the game, but chess represents your game of life. And basically, what smart moves are you making for your future success?
Wow.
That's really
What
what it boils
smart
down to.
what smart moves are you making for your business success?
Yes.
That's what that really kind of nails it there. Can I ask you to take us through? I in part two of the book on page 38,
Yes.
it begins and it really talks about women in business and how to master the chess ideology. And it talks an awful lot about this chess ideology represents your emotional intelligence, which consists of 5 components. And that's self-awareness, self-acceptance, self-improvement, positive self-talk.
Yes.
Um, I I speak a lot about those subjects, so this really resonates with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I let's dig into those and talk about those a little bit, because I think
Mm-hmm.
that really is all about personality, isn't it?
It develops into your personality. Your personality represents a combination of these characteristics or your qualities that form your distinctive character. So, for example, in SHESS, the first S represents self-empowerment, which includes being self-aware, accepting yourself. There's self-acceptance, there's self-improvement. There's something about myself that I admit, for example, that I need to improve on. Maybe I need a special training, or I need to take a license program, or just something that needs to be improved. Your personality, maybe you've been told that you need to tone it down, check yourself at the door. I don't know. Whatever that is that you personally feel needs to be improved, that's something that you would focus on in your journey of self-improvement. Then there's positive self-talk. Too often people are so negative in their thinking, and what words you articulate out into the universe matter. And so if you say, I can't, I won't, I'm not interested, I don't think I could do this, I'm not capable, I'm not smart enough, those thoughts they're so negative that you've already stifled yourself just even thinking about it for that second. And when you articulate it into the universe, you attract negativity. I really strongly believe in that. So positive self-talk is critical for your success as well. The H in SHESS represents your honor system. That's integrity, being a woman of your word, showing up when you need to show up, making promises and keeping those promises, right? Also having empathy for others. And internalize it even deeper and have empathy for yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be compassionate with yourself. Be good to yourself. Eat well. Exercise. Surround yourself around positive, good people, not toxicity. There's self-respect. I teach the women inmates about self-respect. And I said, if you do not respect your mind and your body, no one else will. That is a fact. The E in SHESS represents engagement, being proactive versus reactive. Why respond to something after the fact? So if you are really aware of your surroundings, the things that are happening, and if you're a business owner, you need to be more hands-on to have an idea what's happening, who's doing what and how, so that if there's room for growth, there's the opportunity versus not being hands-on. So being proactive is a great thing, a great way to be, or strive to be, so that you anticipate things happening so that you can have a positive response to things that do occur when they do occur. Setting and accomplishing goals is critical. And being open to change is very, very, very key to your success as well. If you're someone who's just locked in with your ego and it's all about you and you're a narcissist and it's you're leading with an iron fist or aristocratic style, leadership style, then you're not open to change. So change is not going to come. And you're going to always be frustrated in your business because things are not adapting. They're not growing and ebbing and flowing. They're just stuck somewhere. They're stagnant, and the growth potential has been seriously minimized. And you'll develop high turnover as a result as well. Also, learn from mistakes and avoid repetition. Obviously, learning from your mistakes is key. Most of us make mistakes all the time. That's fine. Not learning from those mistakes is what is critical. And so avoiding the repetition of repeating the same mistake is a huge, huge blunder on your part as a business owner. The second S in SHESS represents the smart moves from pawn to chess queen. And that's basically a combination of how you think, plan, and react to things. That is the most simplified way to tell you, listen, how you think about yourself and others is key. and how you plan things is very important. Not doing things haphazardly and disorganized. And then reacting to things. Once something occurs, how are you going to react? Do you freak out, or do you stay focused and concerned and have the compassion that you need to have so that you can either help someone or even help yourself get out of this situation? And the last S in SHESS represents success. And it entails helping others, respecting others, and mentoring others. That is critical for your success as well. Your personality is who you are, and there's no secret. There's not a big secret that most people don't realize that some integral parts of their personality really affect people in a negative way. I can't tell you which ones those are because everyone is different. They have a different journey. However, if you're the type of person that has that micromanager type of mindset as a business owner, and you're always looking over your employees' shoulders and what are you doing and why are you on the phone and why are you emailing this person, and you need to stop that, because you're going to push people away and you're going to start having high turnover. Well, no one's going to want to work with you. Okay, so these are things that really, when you think about playing chess and life and business and how they're so interconnected, it becomes doable. It makes more sense that I want to learn to play chess for fun so that I can be a better problem solver in my life. And I have to tell you, I've been playing for 36 years and I get better every year in chess. And it doesn't matter if I win or lose. My goal is to keep my mind stimulated, continue to build my confidence in my abilities, analyzing problems on the board as well as in life the way I do. And it's been a great journey. It's been a great journey. And that's why I wrote the book for women in business and anyone else really who seeks something different, a different way of progressing in life, professionally and personally.
That's amazing. It's hard to separate the personal from the professional, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I recall, if you had asked me 10 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
I would have talked about work and life and trying to find a balance between those two. And I used to think of my brand, my professional brand was different than my personal brand a long time ago. But I think now many of us have decided that the separation didn't make sense. And to think of ourselves as just this one entity, my professional self and my personal self, that's my authentic Arthur, is both of those mashed up into one. And I think it really is acknowledging that there's an acronym that I love, it's called ROAR. We all know ROI, return on investment. Some of us have heard about ROE, which is return on effort, the effort that you put into something. But there's one I learned several years ago, and I wish I could remember who I should attribute it to because it's that good. It's ROAR. And I think ROAR is return on authentic relationships.
Beautiful. I love
And
it.
I mean, that's what I feel I have with you, Wendy, because you show up consistently the same, always
Yes.
authentically who you are.
Yes.
There's no charade. There's no put on. There's no trying to impress. You get totally 1000% Wendy when you engage with Wendy. And I think if each of us had had an intention of showing up unwavering in who we really are, we would really accomplish more. Why? Because people would know how to deal with us. They would know who we are, so they wouldn't be looking at us saying, okay, who are they today? Are they going to be happy today? Or are they going to be sad today?
But Art, it's not a quick journey. It's years of trials and tribulations, learning from mistakes and not being repetitious about certain things and listening, being an active listener and asking others, how do you see me in this role? Or What do you think how do you think I should improve something? Or what should I improve, for example? And I'm receptive to that, because I think you have to leave the ego at the door. Because once you start feeding only your ego, you're losing sight of opportunities and
Yeah, it's not
growth
about,
and growth.
as a leader, it's not about you. And if as a leader, you're all about your professional growth, and the people on the team that you lead are there to help you become better. You've got it upside down, it's backwards. The leader's role is to make other people better, and when they accomplish more, through them, you rise on the tide of their success. It's a symbiotic relationship. But to go back to your point that you made earlier when you were describing the SHESS model, you mentioned the idea that there's positive self-talk, and when you said that, I thought of something that I say often: the stories we tell ourselves about ourselves become ourselves, right? I mean, the things that we repeat about, I'm not good enough, I wish I could, you repeat that often enough, that just becomes the programming that you're going to respond to, and it drives you. So the notion of positive self-talk is not just a nice quote. It's how we program ourselves to achieve the goals that we put before ourselves. And this idea that self-knowledge is not easy, philosophers have been saying that throughout human history. And I go all the way back to Delphi, Greece, almost 3,000 years ago.
You would.
That's how I go. In the Temple of Apollo, when they worshiped Apollo and the Greek gods, and there were oracles lived in the Temple of Apollo. But the thing that's amazing is that everybody, from the lowest person in that society to the leaders in that society, would go to inquire with the oracle to find out about themselves. Will I succeed in this campaign to beat the Spartans? Whatever the case was. And the oracle always had an answer. Because human condition is, we want to know ourselves. Above the entrance to that temple of Apollo, they inscribe just the words, know thyself. And throughout human history, that theme keeps popping up. Shakespeare said it, know thyself. Benjamin Franklin said it. Lao Tzu is a great Chinese philosopher who wrote the I Ching. He's responsible for creating the Chinese religion and many other things. And he said, knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength.
Wow.
Mastering yourself is true power. So it's like you can try to conquer all those people and be the boss of them, but deal with yourself first.
Correct.
Because self-knowledge, self-awareness, when I'm self-aware, it's like doing a SWOT on yourself. I know what my strengths are. I know what my weaknesses are. I know what the threats to my success are. And when I understand myself at that level, I can surround myself with people that complete my weaknesses. I can learn from them to pump up those weaknesses. So maybe one day I won't be weak in that category, but I have to first be aware, and I have to be humble to acknowledge that I might think I'm the king of everything and I'm just that good. But when you do that, when you look in the mirror with clear eyes and are humble, you will see the weaknesses clearly, and you don't think that that's a bad thing. You just think that's the thing. And how do I improve on that position? Well, then I get with Wendy and say, Wendy, you have this thing that I don't. You have authenticity, and I really need to find myself to be more authentic. Let's talk about it. Tell me how you manage to do it every day. And as a coach or a consultant, you can show me the way.
Yeah.
And it takes humility. It takes courage, first of all, to admit that I'm not as complete as I think I would like to be. But when you do eventually become, and as Lao Tzu said, that's where true power comes from, that humility and having the
Absolutely.
courage to
Absolutely.
find a coach to help you deliberately patch the things that need to be fixed in the brand called you. The other thing,
Yes.
I'm sorry. I was going to make one more.
Yes.
No, go ahead. You go. Go.
I just wanted to piggyback on what you said, that I think most people find it difficult to be truly honest about who they are, their flaws, accepting flaws. It's really difficult to look in the mirror and say, wow, you're really a messed up person. You're really like a terrible person, whatever. But I think it's just, on the human side of things, it's just easier to absolve ourselves from guilt or negative things, because it's effortless to do so, versus taking out the time and the energy and the sense of, you have to have patience to grow. But you can't grow personally, and you can't improve something about your personality if you don't know what's wrong. And if you do discover what's wrong, you don't accept that. Like, it's like you're adamant about change. You refuse to change something about yourself. You could be in a marriage, for example, and your wife tells you, Art, you have to stop leaving your shorts on the floor in the bathroom. Right? I'm just making it up. And
Okay.
at some point, it's got to have an impact on you. And there has to be self-reflection and say, wow, I really don't want to upset her anymore, because obviously I've heard this about 10 times this week. So I have to make an effort to change something about myself. It's the same concept with business.
Yeah, very true. And, there's that looking in the mirror and being honest with yourself. I mean, I look in the mirror, I think I'm still that 27-year-old guy, tall, and dark, and handsome.
35-year-old
can leap tall buildings with a single bound and all that stuff. I think we're all challenged that way, because we see what we want to see sometimes and not what other people see. And I think the opportunity we have is, how do we show up in the world? I can think I'm a great leader, but my team hates me, right? I mean, you need that input, and you have to have the courage to have it. And I think there's a book that has a great matrix in it. It's called Radical Candor, and radical candor is a idea that there's difficult conversations you might have to have with a team member, an employee, a team member, a customer even, and the having the conversation, you can move there and change their behavior. Not having a conversation, you're just going along to get along. And that going along to get along can end up in ruination, right? Because you don't know where that's going to take you. Having radical candor and having those difficult conversations can change the makeup of a team and the performance of a team and the success of a business and a relationship. Having radical candor with yourself is kind of what you're talking about. And it's broken into 4 quadrants. There's manipulative insecurity. That's when I tell myself, that guy, look at that handsome guy. He's 27 and he can leap tall buildings with a single bound. That's manipulative insecurity, right? The other quadrant is righteous empathy, right? Where you look for the truth and you say, those gray hairs, you earned them, and that's wisdom, right? I mean, but you have to take it and own it. But it takes courage to have radical candor in difficult conversations with the outside world, and having those difficult conversations to understand where our weaknesses are, and perhaps where our flaws are. And that is where authenticity comes from. Because if I show up and say, look, Wendy, I know occasionally, sometimes I go off the handle. I know you've just begun working together, but when you see that in me, I want you to give me the timeout sign and say, Art, you're doing the thing you told me you do, and I'm here to help you. Because every time I see it, I'm going to call you on it. My honesty acknowledging that that is a challenge that I want to fix, shows that I respect you and
Yes.
trust you to be a good guide in helping me change that.
Absolutely.
And you might be a subordinate, but I give agency to you to shut me down when I start doing that behavior. And eventually I lose that behavior, but we build a bond around trust and respect that as a team, we can do amazing things. I love this subject. I think that, we're going for almost 45 minutes, and I want to pay homage to our sponsor, Power Breakfast and Small Business Pro University. So anybody listening in the chat, we're going to show a couple of commercials from our sponsor, Andrew Fraser, the founder of the Power Breakfast and the Masterpreneur playbook and Small Business Pro University and many other things. And we're going to take about 3 minutes to do that. So if you need to take a humanity break, now might be a good time to do that. Or if you want to learn some more about Andrew, stay tuned and check out these really interesting and compelling, I call them commercials. They're really just a bit of the narrative about why Andrew does some of the things he does and how he does them. So stay tuned for a little bit. We'll be back with more of Wendy Oliveras and having difficult conversations with ourselves about how to have the personality that's a winning personality in business. All right, we'll be back, guys. Stay tuned.
If you are looking to increase revenues, improve profitability, and or obtain financing for your business, you need to check out the Power Breakfast and Small Business Pro conferences.
My name is Andrew Fraser. One of the things we're here to do is supercharge your day.
Today's Power Breakfast has really been a phenomenal experience. I think it's exactly what business owners need, some true guidance of people who are genuine and really are leading them in the true direction of business growth and expansion.
The Power Breakfast is so important for the entrepreneurial community because it gives the various business people who come together an opportunity to interact and also do some business.
These events, hosted by Andrew Fraser, President and COO of Small Business Like a Pro, will supercharge your day.
Is your business growing, and are you making enough money? If not, you need to join the Masterpreneur Club. The Masterpreneur Club is a community of business owners like you who are focused on growth and making more money. They follow the Masterpreneur playbook developed by Andrew Fraser, Business Growth Pro and CFO. A proven 5-step business growth plan for creating a sustainable enterprise that can run without you. What exactly is the Masterpreneur Club and why should I join? The Masterpreneur Club is a membership component of the Small Business Pro University that features the opportunity to experience valuable multimedia mini courses and training opportunities, participate in virtual roundtable, group coaching, and knowledge-sharing discussions, access to a powerful network of experienced entrepreneurs, business owners, and thought leaders. We are committed to your success and want to make it affordable to any business owner seeking to accelerate their growth. Don't hesitate. Visit www.masterpreneurclub.com to join the Masterpreneur Club right now.
Growing revenue, increasing profitability, and obtaining financing are the results of running your small business like a pro.
This is really the path to achieving the success that most entrepreneurs and business owners are looking to achieve. But it's a path where most people get stuck between step 1 and step 2. Businesses close every day because their owners were not able to create a successful, sustainable enterprise. If you do not create an enterprise, the only way that you can sell your business successfully is you sell yourself with it.
This book is a common sense guide for learning how to run your small business as a professional enterprise.
You can pick up the book as a new entrepreneur or as a seasoned entrepreneur and get something out of it. It's very educational.
It provides a fundamental understanding of the challenges small businesses face with real-world solutions that drive results.
Life examples of what happens in business with cash flow, handling money, very, very accurate. And they were experiences that I've had.
Structure. If I do a shoot, I know that there are certain steps that I have to take to get me to where I need to go. But when it comes to business, I didn't have the same sense of what needed to be done. Andrew helped me see, systems, or steps we take to grow your business. So he's helped systematize it.
I worked with a client who was looking to retire and sell his business and expected to get over $500,000 for it. However, when I assessed the business and looked to figure out what the value was, it was less than $100,000. Why was this? Because he didn't create an enterprise. The business was centered around him, and without him, there wasn't a business. This book helps you to understand how to create an enterprise where it can run successfully without you.
Get your copy today. Andrew Frazier's new book online at www.runningyoursmallbusinesslikeapro.com. Also available on Amazon.
Well, there we go. Welcome back. That was our commercial break, honoring our sponsor, Andrew Frazier. And I really want to acknowledge some of the folks that are in the chat that have been with us the whole time, Wendy. And I'm sure you might know some of these folks. There's Sherry Darnice Burnell, Ronald Robertson, Evelyn Rios.
Hello.
Gladys
Welcome.
Romans. Wow, right? Great conversation. Ronald says, so true in one of the comments that you were making.
Yes. Thank you.
There's Evelyn Rios. I so needed to hear this today. I agree. Great conversation. And Luz, Cookie Roman. And there's just so much conversation in the chat. We thank you all for hanging in here with us and enjoying this great knowledge sharing conversation that we're having with the amazing Wendy Oliveras. And we're going to get back, and we've got maybe 10 minutes left. So keep your questions coming. And Wendy, let's wrap it up by talking a little bit more about the fact that, there's some data that suggests leaders, 85% of leaders are made. Only 15%, are born. Their great grandfather went to Harvard. Grandma, everybody went to Harvard. So you're 8 years old, you're going to Harvard. Those leaders are made because they come with, $20 million in the bank. The rest of us have to work hard at it. And I think that's what this hour has really, really been about. And that's really what you baked into your great book. Anybody that doesn't have it, they can find this on Amazon. Isn't that right?
Anywhere online, Target, Amazon, bookbaby.com.
So it's everywhere. And the notion that much of what Wendy's been talking about relative to self-awareness, empathy, and being socially aware and knowing who you're talking to and having better conversations and more is in Checkmate Moves for Business Startups. So you don't have to even rush out to get it. You can get it right online and let your fingers do the walking. The thing that leaders are made, not born, is such a true statement. And I think I want to quote Zurich Insurance that did a study. I think it was in 2019, so it's dated a little bit now, but it was a study that they did of kids beginning in 1989 in the US. And they studied children from 1989 until 2009. And what the study showed, they titled this study, The Age of Anger, because what they showed was that those children lost 49% of their empathy over the course of those almost 30 years.
Wow.
We are a society of, 30 years ago, we had a lot more empathy than we have today for each other.
Clearly.
And empathy is not just something that is outward facing. Empathy is something that we look internally at ourselves and are empathetic with ourselves. Self-awareness is all about empathy. So with that, the loss of empathy, largely because we have given agency over to these devices that we have, we say goodnight to our phone before we after we say goodnight to our spouse. It's the last thing we see at night, the first thing we see in the morning. That's changed some of our behaviors and some of how we nurture our human skills. And so can you give us some practices that you give to the folks that you coach that we can take away, that we can put into practice to be more empathetic, to be more socially aware and self-aware?
I think it's important to allow yourself to be vulnerable to different things. You know, everything doesn't have to be so perfectly, you know, aligned accordingly, right? Being vulnerable allows you to show that there's an opportunity for change, whether it's good or bad, but you're being vulnerable and you're exposing yourself in a way that you're not going to be afraid to change. You're not going to be afraid of rejection. You won't be afraid of the fear of the unknown and all the other fears that sometimes just take such a hold on us, and we can't really grow because we're so stuck in this embrace of negativity. And I think being yourself, being your true self, and showing up the same person and having that integrity is key. And allowing yourself with the confidence to be vulnerable to things, new changes, new ideas, creativity, embracing all of those. Because as a leader, and if you have a vision for a business, it's not just about you. It's about the people that are helping you to get to where you need to be financially. Because that's, I mean, why do we start businesses? To be financially independent. That's the ultimate goal. But for most people anyway. Some people just do it for like a nonprofit, for example, just to help the community. But having integrity, being self-aware, having confidence, being vulnerable, having a vision, being adaptable, these are wonderful characteristics to work on, to build, so that the next time that you are hiring new people, you'll know, look, I'm not perfect, and you'll be honest about that. There are going to be times that I might get a little stressed out about something. I'm only human. But at least you have a democratic leadership style where there's an open door policy. I'm listening. I want to know what you're feeling. I want to know what you're thinking. And I want us to grow as a team, because it's not just my effort. It's collectively our collaboration.
Yeah, and I think a good metaphor for that is when you have an orchestra conductor who's really the boss of the orchestra, right? The conductor is the boss of the orchestra, but the conductor doesn't make a noise. When that symphony is making that great sound, the conductor may have worked with the really professional, highly trained musicians to get the most from them. But in the moment of truth, when the value is going to be presented to the world, the conductor, some conductors are really jumping all over the place. The best conductors, Leonard Bernstein, you know, the guy that did West Side Story and a bunch of other really cool stuff, just stands there and soaks it all up and lets it flow over him, because that's his role. That's the role of a leader, not to do it for them, but to help them become the best selves that they can become. I agree with that. I think that goes a bit further, and the orchestra is probably a good metaphor for this as well. The conductor is a leader that helps the team, the orchestra, perform better, and then just stands back and watches, right? Not cracking a whip like some of those conductors do. When you've done a good job, you don't have to do anything but watch it happen. But who's it happening for? The people in the balcony, and the people in the orchestra, and the people in the boxes, and the people outside that hear it as they walk down, 57th Avenue in front of Carnegie Hall. That is the customer outside those doors, right?
Yeah.
The customer's in the balcony. And if, as a leader, you're not using your empathy to connect with them, you're missing a huge opportunity, because after all, they pay your bills. And so empathy and vulnerability
And
Here's a
humility.
quote. You know, I'm full of quotes, so I have one quote
I know
before
you are.
we wrap it up. Vulnerability is the gift that generates trust.
Mm.
So when you have the courage to be humble, you're going to have to be vulnerable because that's the truth of who you are. And we know when you give that vulnerability to us, that you trust us with it. And when you give me your trust, I give it back to you. So the trust goes both ways.
That's the circle of trust.
Yeah, exactly
That's the
right.
circle of trust.
I appreciate you so much because I always enjoy having our conversations.
Likewise, Art.
And even though we covered these subjects before, every time I have this kind of conversation with you, I learn more. So thank you for
Likewise.
being generous with what you know and what you've learned.
Thank you.
By being such a great coach and working with so many people, because I imagine you learn as much from them as you do.
Absolutely.
And gifting to them. And I want to thank everybody in our chat for hanging with us for the hour. And you know, I'm not Andrew Fraser, but I hope I served and did him proud by keeping it going here, keeping a string going. So thank everybody in the chat. Every Tuesday night at 8:05 Eastern Time, it's Leadership Live at 8:05 with Andrew Fraser and an amazing guest like Wendy Oliveras. Tonight's been my joy to host, and my great joy to sit in the window next to Wendy. So Wendy, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for all the attendees for taking out the time this evening to listen to a conversation that really is very critical to our future successes. Your personality is who you are, and being kind and having the confidence and loving other people and loving yourself is really important in life. So
yeah, go out there and roar.
Do your thing.
Go out there and roar and get return on authentic relationships by being more of who you already are. And thanks everybody for tuning in.
Thank you, Art.
Absolutely, Wendy.
Great. It was my honor to spend this hour with you.
Absolutely. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.